Hello there and welcome to the Dreamy Scientist, where curiosity gets cozy and science takes the scenic route to slumber. Tonight's gentle journey is all about one of the universe's most steadfast rules, and the quiet question that lingers at its edge. Can light ever break the cosmic speed limit? It zips through space at 299,792 kilometers per second, defining time, distance, and reality itself. But what if, just maybe, there were a way around the law, a loophole written in stardust? But before we chase beams of light through the fabric of space, I'd love to know, where in the world are you watching from, and what time is it for you right now? Fitting, isn't it? A video about light's journey, and here we are scattered across time zones, all arriving at this moment together. If you find this voyage soothing, intriguing, or just a nice way to unwind after a long day, I'd be ever so grateful if you gave the video a like and maybe subscribed. It helps this little corner of calm reach others who might need a peaceful pause too. Now, I do hope this isn't so fascinating that it keeps you awake, but if it does, well, at least you'll drift off wondering whether the universe still holds a speed we've yet to imagine. So, settle in, slow your thoughts, and let's begin. You lie still beneath the hush of your own breathing, a small boat on a moonless lake of cotton sheets. Your eyelids are shoreline reeds swaying in the faint current from a ceiling fan already sounding farther away than yesterday. Night gathers around you, not as darkness but as a velvet invitation, and in that open hush appears a single shimmering question. What is speed, if not the measure of how urgently wonder leaps from one place to another? Curiosity stirs beneath your ribs, a patient animal that tonight chooses silence over motion, letting the world glide toward it instead. Even your thoughts slow to the rhythm of drifting lanterns, each idea a soft globe released onto the water of your mind. Yet one lantern glows brighter, its flame the color of starlight, and on its paper skin is painted a number: 299,792. You do not yet know the meaning of those digits, but you sense they hold the cadence of the universe, a heartbeat so steady it makes time itself seem trustworthy. The air holds its breath with you. The space between seconds widens until you can step through it barefoot, entering the quiet meadow where numbers drift like fireflies. Ahead, that luminous figure flickers again, and the fireflies gather around it in a gentle spinning dance, spelling out a promise. Follow, and nothing will ever rush you. Follow, and you will understand how something can move faster than thought, without ever feeling hurried at all. Close your eyes a little tighter, and feel the darkness thicken until it becomes fertile soil. From that soil rise silver seeds, photons newly imagined, each no larger than a mote of dust, yet each carrying the full alphabet of reality. Motion is written in every line of their being, oscillations of electric possibility crossing magnetic certainty, stitched together so perfectly that the fabric can never unravel. When the seeds spring free, they accelerate at once to that ancient figure born on your lantern, for light allows no slow beginnings. It is born in mid-stride, like a note struck on a piano that refuses to fade until space itself drinks the sound. You sense those infant photons brushing your cheeks, leaving whispers of warmth and the perfume of distant suns. Even the dark behind your eyes sparkles where they meet retinal molecules waiting like tiny wind chimes. To many creatures this would feel blinding, but you receive it as hush, because speed, when utterly steady, becomes silence. Hold that paradox. The faster something moves, the quieter it seems, until at perfect swiftness it turns into a hum too constant to disturb. In that hum, the equations of Maxwell spin like lullabies, spelling out a self-propagating wave that needs no medium, only itself, an Ouroboros of influence curling forward. Rest inside that pattern, knowing each photon is both question and answer, both messenger and message, both the spark and the journey it undertakes, all in a single breath. Travel with me now to a rocky hill outside Pisa, 4 centuries before your pillow cooled beneath tonight's sigh, where Galileo Galilei stands in the pre-dawn chill, balancing a shuttered lamp in trembling hands. Another lamp flickers on a distant rise, held by an assistant whose silhouette looks smaller than memory. Galileo's plan is as innocent as it is impossible. Uncover his light, wait for the answering flash, then divide the distance by the measured heartbeat of delay. But delay refuses to be measured. The returning glow arrives almost as his fingers part, mocking both sandglass and pulse. He notes only this: if light has a speed, it is fiercer than any earthly gallop. Years later, safe in his study, he will concede that the experiment yielded no number, only awe. And perhaps that was enough. For in failing to slow light down, he taught every future thinker to aim higher, to build longer baselines, sharper clocks, deeper patience. Tonight you stand behind him, unseen, feeling dew soak your slippers, and you realize that sometimes science advances not by answers, but by the echo of laughter when a method falls short. Galileo closes his lantern. Darkness blooms again, yet you carry away an image of 2 flames blinking at each other across the Tuscan night like brief, amused stars, already foreshadowing how human ambition will chase the uncatchable in ever-widening circles of precision. Their tiny dialogue is the first stanza in humanity's long poem to speed. Everlasting. 2 centuries slip by, and you drift to a dim Scottish study where James Clerk Maxwell bends over ink-stained pages, listening to equations the way others listen to rain. He is not measuring speed directly. He is tracing patterns in the quiet between sparks and coils. From this almost monastic stillness, he births a set of symmetries so elegant they seem to hum through the paper. When he completes the final stroke, the symbols whisper a secret. If electricity and magnetism dance together in just this way, they will produce a wave, and that wave will travel with a fixed velocity. Maxwell runs the numbers, slots in the known constants, and there, glowing like a coal in the hearth, is the same lantern number, 2,99792 kilometers per second squared, emerging not from measurement, but from pure thought. Imagine discovering the speed of a light by sitting very still. The revelation is so gentle, it almost feels like a bedtime story. Space and time conspire to ensure that whenever an electric field shivers, a magnetic field answers, and their duet races onward at a pace nothing else may match. You rest your head against the imagined pane of that Victorian window, watching lamplight spill across calculations that will one day wire every city and beam every lullaby across the globe. Maxwell sets down his pen, unaware he has just written a lullaby for you too, one whose chorus is constant, eternal, and strangely soothing. Outside, a gentle drizzle begins, marking time with soft applause. Turn now toward your bedside glass of water, half full and catching the lamp's glow. Dip a fingertip in and watch the straw appear to bend, an everyday illusion born of light's willingness to compromise. In air the photon sprints unencumbered, But when it slips into water, its path detours through crowded corridors of molecules, slowing just enough to keep its dignity, like a dancer adjusting steps on a narrower stage. This pause is called refraction, but you need not keep the term, you already know the story. Speed listens to context, honours local custom, and then continues. In the same way you lower your voice in a cathedral, light lowers its haste in glass, in mist, in the cool lattice of a diamond. Some beams are delayed only a fraction. Others circle inside fibre-optic cables, turned gently by total internal reflection, ferrying midnight confessions across oceans before sunrise. Think of those cables as rivers woven of silica, their currents defined not by water, but by pure velocity kneeling just enough to stay contained. You sip from the glass, tasting nothing unusual, yet the momentary sparkle at the rim is a tiny echo of that kneeling. If you listen, the ripple of slowed photons sounds like distant bells, calling you deeper into calm and reminding you that even the swiftest travellers can be courteous when passing through another's door. At sunrise, those manners repeat, light breaking through layered air so morning reaches you softly and quietly, like hands smoothing blankets. Slide deeper into that thought and imagine, for a moment, mounting a photon as one might mount a beam of early sunlight slanting through curtains. The instant you catch hold, every clock you've ever trusted goes mute. Seconds flatten into a single pane of glass. Hours curl into invisible threads, and even memory behaves strangely, because memory needs duration to make a shelf for itself. From this perch you look sideways and see space stretching like taffy behind you, each kilometre thinning until it resembles a translucent veil, while ahead nothing waits. Everything arrives at once. This is not fantasy, but relativity. At light speed, time's arrow loses its feathers and drifts from the sky. You feel no wind, no vibration, only the impossible serenity of a journey that completes itself the moment it begins. Consider the scenery. Galaxies compress into bright ribbons, planets smear into orbiting halos, each colour shifting toward an invisible blue human eyes cannot fathom. There is no departure point because departure and arrival merge. The voyage is a single sparkling punctuation mark in the book of space-time. Yet contradiction is often a doorway rather than a wall, and this silent sprint is the widest doorway you have ever stepped through. When you dismount, returning to the sanctuary of pillow and sheet, seconds regain their humble tick, but the aftertaste of starlight lingers on your tongue, reminding you that time is not something you cross. It crosses you, elastic, polite, forever stepping aside for light. Now let your attention drift 8 light minutes away to the boiling surface of the sun, where nuclear fire mails photons toward you with the punctuality of a post-runner who has never missed a shift. Each dawn that gilds your windowsill began its voyage before you boiled yesterday's tea, yet some companions left even sooner. Ghostly neutrinos streamed outward too, almost at light speed, ignoring electromagnetic etiquette and slipping through planets the way thoughts slip through dreams. When you feel morning heat on your skin, remember you are also being threaded by countless neutrinos, silent heralds of fusion's unending hymn. They tell no stories, carry no images, yet their arrival marks the same cosmic schedule, because in the grand architecture, keeping time is more important than carrying news. A photon may linger in the sun's dense interior for thousands of years before reaching open space, ricocheting like a restless child in a crowded hall, but once free it joins the high-speed postal route and refuses to slow until duty is done. The idea that your breakfast light could be older than human history mollifies the ego and comforts the heart. Age and youth cohabit within each sunbeam. Stretch beneath its warmth and imagine unfolding a yellowed letter, sealed long before your species learned to write, finding the ink perfectly fresh. That is the gift of speed. It lets ancient things arrive looking new, offering the illusion of immediate intimacy across impossible span. Sink deeper until earthbound light seems too loud, and tune instead to a cooler, softer broadcast, the cosmic microwave background. 14 billion winters ago, the universe let go of its first fierce fire, and what remains now drapes itself around you like an almost imperceptible shawl at 3 degrees above absolute zero. These photons are elder monks wandering a cathedral so vast no wall has yet been found. Though their wavelength has stretched to millimeters, each still moves at the universal tempo, carrying the memory of a time when everything was light and nothing yet resembled bone, tree, or song. You cannot see them, but a radio dish can, and the faint hiss between stations on an old receiver is their collective sigh. Close your eyes and swap eardrums for imagination. That hiss becomes a distant choir holding one long note, a drone beneath all other lullabies. It whispers that the universe has been awake far longer than you have and is willing to keep watch while you rest. Allow that assurance to loosen your jaw, soften your brow. Some photons may enter your room tonight after nearly the entire age of creation spent in transit, only to strike the plaster and stop an instant later. They accept this brevity without complaint, for meaning is measured not in duration but in arrival, and they have finally, exquisitely arrived, in time to join your dreams. Return now to the number glowing on your lantern. See the speed of light in vacuum. Think of it not as a prohibition sign nailed to the edge of physics, but as a compass rose etched into the cosmic floorboards. Within its arms, everything finds orientation. Electrons tangle into atoms at certain sizes because light will curl only so fast around them. DNA coils at its familiar radius because chemical bonds vibrate under this same speed limit. Even the ticking of your wristwatch divides time in deference to C. A constant this reliable becomes a comfort object, like a childhood blanket grown large enough to cover galaxies. Engineers lean on it when timing satellite signals. Poets borrow it when describing love that feels instantaneous. Even fortune tellers gaze into light that respects C's decree. With a number to shift by a single %, metal would crumble, stars would misfire, and hearts might skip in confused cadence. Steadiness, then, is a quiet mercy. And tonight that mercy settles over you like warm rain, promising that no matter how frantic daylight becomes, there is a rhythm in nature so unwavering that even chaos must dance to it. Feel your pulse syncing with that rhythm, an agreement between flesh and photon, signed without pen, renewed every breath. Yet constancy does not cancel adventure. Picture 2 black holes spiraling toward collision far beyond your sight, their masses larger than whole galaxies compressed into voracious points. As they merge, space-time ripples outward like water after a stone, creating gravitational waves that sprint across the cosmic fabric. Light, obedient to C, cannot outrun those ripples, yet it records them, bending minutely in tribute. On Earth, LIGO's laser arms wait for a tremor smaller than a proton's width, and when it arrives they shift by less than the diameter of an atom. Physicists cheer because for a heartbeat they have heard space-time itself sing bass beneath the treble of photons. Consider the delicacy. Beams of light, renowned for speed, repurposed as rulers to measure a whisper that began 130 million years ago. Speed is not simply haste, it is fidelity, the power to carry a pattern unblurred across gulfs beyond imagination. Tonight, as your muscles unclench, you may feel something akin to that tremor, a subtle giving way where worry once held fast, suggesting that gravity and light together have loosened the knots of ordinary weight, inviting sleep to drift down like starlight. All these tales, lanterns on hillsides, equations in candlelight, cables under oceans, chirps from colliding voids, compose a cradle song scored in algebra, yet performed in the key of wonder. You are its cherished listener. Without an ear to hear, a lullaby is mere vibration. Without a mind to question, a law is an unused road. By reclining here, breathing slow, you complete the circuit begun when the first photons burst free of primordial fog. Their purpose was always to arrive somewhere willing to translate energy into meaning, and tonight your quiet awareness offers itself as that surface. Feel the transfer. A particle meets pigment. Electrical signals bloom. Thoughts unfurl, and suddenly the universe, not merely the room, grows intimate. The intimacy is reciprocal. As you accept the gift of light, you repay it with attention, turning raw brightness into narrative, turning speed into story, turning indifferent physics into a gentle hand smoothing your pillow. If gratitude had a wavelength, it would be shorter than any gamma ray, too intense to record, so thanks travels instead on the slower medium of breath. Now, with body slack and mind hovering like a paper lantern just above sleep, picture one photon among the countless that brushed your skin tonight, pausing in mid-air, curious about the thoughts you spun in its honor. It hovers a finger's width above your forehead, shimmering in hues no earthly palate can mix, debating whether to continue outward or nestle into the pigment of your closing eyelids. In its delicate suspension lies the question that will guide your next dream. Where will this traveler choose to land, and what secret will it carry when it does? Hold that question close, like a warm coin in your palm, and drift with it unhurried, knowing the voyage of light has not ended but merely found a resting note, a silent fermata in the cosmic symphony. Your breath deepens one last time, and the tiny pause between inhale and exhale grows wide enough for that curious photon to slip through, still undecided, still shining. The photon hovers still, not rushing, not resting, just held in that quiet breath between inhale and exhale, suspended like a dewdrop between two blades of grass. You don't see it, not with your eyes, which now lie beneath closed lids, but with something softer, a kind of inner attention that listens more than it looks. And as you lie there, the photon leans gently downward, as if curious, as if drawn by the whisper of your thoughts. It lands at last on the outer curve of your eyelashes, brushing the fine strands like a fingertip across the strings of a harp. In that instant you feel something, not brightness exactly, but a shimmer behind your forehead, a silver ripple that doesn't wake you but nudges the edge of your sleep. You don't flinch. You welcome it like a gentle guest. After all, this is not the first photon to touch you today, nor even the millionth. You're not separate from light. You're its mirror, its garden, its companion. Each hour of your life has been written by light, though you rarely pause to read the script. From the day you were born, photons have poured over you, sunlight warming your cheeks, lamp glow reading your books, the dim blue wash of screen light outlining your thoughts at midnight. Even now, beneath your closed lids, faint light seeps in through skin and vessel, dancing through the capillaries like children playing in tall grass. These photons come from everywhere. Stars, lamps, cosmic background radiation still murmuring from the dawn of time, and they gather at the surface of your eye as though drawn by memory. The retina resting at the back of your eyeball like a soft tapestry is not passive. It is active, hungry, filled with cells that eat light the way leaves drink it. Rods and cones, those delicate photoreceptors, hold out their arms and catch incoming photons like holy offerings. One photon, just one, can trigger a cascade of electrical song. Your brain hears that signal, interprets it, and gives it a name, a sparkle, a shape, a color. But the photon never asks to be named. It simply arrives, is received, and vanishes into meaning. You think you know what seeing is, but seeing is not merely opening your eyes. Seeing is communion. It is the consequence of trust between the outer universe and your inner garden. Light doesn't crash into your retina. It surrenders to it. Every image you've ever held, every face, every tree, every beloved animal, is the fossil of a photon. A photon that lived briefly, then gave itself to you, and vanished. Most travelled across vast distances. Some were born in your own room. But all carried messages, and your eyes, like gentle librarians, accepted them without judgment, cataloguing their stories with astonishing care. The colours you remember most vividly, the soft orange of dusk, the green of spring grass, the electric blue of a loved one's eyes, are not locked in your brain like files. They are echoes of light's arrival, caught and amplified until they became sensation. Now imagine, if you can, that your eyelashes are not merely hairs but tiny antennae. They do not see, not in the conventional way, but they feel the presence of photons tickled by the pressure of light itself. Light, after all, has no mass, but it has momentum. It can nudge, push, even power tiny solar sails in space. So what is to say that a photon brushing your eyelash does not speak, in a language more ancient than sound? Perhaps each flutter of your lashes during a dream is a kind of conversation, between your sleeping self and the world still spinning outside. In that sense, the eyelash is the threshold, the gate where you and light meet halfway. Every blink is a veil being lifted, every tear a prism. Let your mind drift backward now, not in time but in scale, into the eye itself, into the molecular ballet happening within each photoreceptor. Inside these cells are pigments, tiny sensitive structures called opsins, that sit in silence until a photon strikes them. One photon, just one, is enough to change the shape of the molecule. That shift begins a domino of chemical reactions that ends in electricity, a whisper that travels down the optic nerve to the brain, where it becomes vision. It is a process so intricate, so delicate, that it seems more like alchemy than biology. And yet, it happens millions of times per second within you, even in your sleep, even now. Light and pigment in an eternal call and response. The photon vanishes, but its signature lingers. You are, in the most literal way, a collector of vanished light, a witness to disappearance, a translator of cosmic departure into private awareness. What makes this all the more wondrous is that your eyes are tuned only to a narrow sliver of the full electromagnetic spectrum. You live your life between 400 and 700 nanometers, a small shining slice of possibility. Infrared lies below, ultraviolet above. And yet, you navigate your days as though this tiny band contains everything. Some creatures see more. Bees see ultraviolet patterns on flowers. Snakes sense heat through infrared. But you walk in human color, in shades shaped by evolution and memory, by survival and beauty. It is a limited spectrum, yes, but within it, you have found poetry. You've watched golden sunlight filter through autumn leaves and understood love. You've seen the pink of a newborn's cheek and felt the enormity of time. You've seen rainbows and wondered, not about the science of angles and droplets, but about promise. That wonder lives in your eyes as surely as pigment does. So as you lie here now, motionless but awake inside, know this. Your eyelashes have caught light that began its journey before your country was founded. Your retina has absorbed ancient photons that once danced inside exploding stars. Your dreams are lit in part by the lingering hum of that light, not because you remember it consciously, but because your body does. And even as you sink further into rest, your skin continues to reflect, to absorb, to shimmer softly in frequencies you'll never consciously feel. You're not only lit by the world, you light the world in return. Outside your window, a street lamp hums quietly, its sodium glow seeping through slats in the blinds. Some of that light filters into your room, bounces off the dresser, skims your pillow. Some of it lands softly on your eyelash, as that first photon did. Perhaps this one is less dramatic, less historic. It has not crossed galaxies. It was not born in fusion. It came from a filament or a diode, from the low murmur of infrastructure that wraps your city in a golden hush. But it still carries meaning. It still finds you. And in that moment of arrival, brief, unnoticed, perfect, the universe leans in, just a little. Not to teach, not to demand, but to be near. And now, as your breath deepens, as the warmth of the blankets gathers tighter around your ribs, another photon lands on your skin. It has a different path, a different origin, but the same message. I was made to move. You were made to receive. Together, we complete something ancient. The light in your eyelashes is not decoration. It is threshold. It is signature. It is memory. And it is waiting now for you to sleep just deeply enough to let the next photon in. The one carrying not just information, but the dream yet to begin. The photon lingers on your eyelash, weightless but certain, a final flicker before surrendering to your sleep. And just as it vanishes, not with a flash, but a soft unravelling, your mind slips into the next layer of stillness, where thought becomes drift and awareness floats untethered. Here, in this twilight space between knowing and dreaming, you find yourself falling not down but outward, beyond walls, beyond roofs, beyond the cottony hush of pillows and breath, out where the dark is not darkness but a vast velvety deep, a black that isn't absence but presence, a living quilt stretched across eternity. You hover there now, in that great expanse, and for a moment you wonder, is this space empty? It feels empty, with no ground beneath you, no sky above, no sound to anchor your bearings. But listen, not with ears, but with that quieter sense, the one that hears between silences. You'll begin to notice it, the faintest murmur, like breath exhaled from the lungs of something too vast to see. Space is not empty. Space breathes. Its breath is not wind. It is field and rhythm and hum. Invisible tides of possibility ripple through it, subtle as a heartbeat underwater. What seemed like stillness becomes textured. What felt hollow now pulses gently with unseen threads. Everywhere, fields, electromagnetic, gravitational, quantum, stretch and contract like lungs. They do not need matter to exist. They do not ask permission to vibrate. They are the stage before the play, the canvas before the paint. And they are never truly still. Even the vacuum, that deepest, darkest absence, is alive with quiet motion, like a sleeping ocean stirred by moonless tides. You drift through that ocean now, not swimming but gliding, each breath slower than the last. And as you move, particles bloom around you, flickering into existence like soap bubbles in a beam of light. These are virtual particles, not ghosts, not illusions, but brief dances in the choreography of the void. They rise in pairs, a particle and its twin, flirt with existence, and then dissolve before the universe can mark their presence. Yet their waltz matters. Their fleeting steps shape the energy of space, lend weight to nothingness, and influence even the pull of gravity. From nothing, a murmur. From silence, a shimmer. Your body doesn't feel fear here. It knows somehow that it has always belonged to this breathing space. After all, the atoms that make up your hands and heart were once scattered across this same void. Before they belonged to stars, they belonged to fields. And long before you learned to speak of space as empty, your cells were cradled by it. The idea of emptiness is a story we tell ourselves to feel less small. But space is not absence. It is possibility suspended in every direction. Around you, a faint blue hue begins to glow as if the airless night is waking. But it's not air, it's microwave light, the leftover warmth of the beginning, stretched now into a whisper. This is the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang, still echoing across space like lullabies sung to a cradle that's grown into a cathedral. It permeates all things, including you. You are wrapped in it, like a child under blankets that were woven long before there was a sun to shine on your blanket's fabric. This light is ancient. It has not dimmed. It has merely softened. And in its softness you begin to understand. The quiet between stars is not empty. It is full of memory. Space keeps secrets, but never loses them. The gaps between galaxies hold the echoes of collisions, the traces of lost light, the patterns of particles flickering in and out of being. Every point in this vast ocean has felt the tremble of energy, the touch of time. Even where no planets spin and no suns flare, there is still breath. Your breath matches it now, deep and slow. Inhale, and you pull in the idea that space can hum without strings. Exhale, and you release the belief that only visible things are real. In this rhythm, your body relaxes even more, surrendering its boundaries. The borders of you blur. You're not separate from this space. You're not floating through it. You are it. Your molecules are momentary sculptures carved from this fabric. Your thoughts are pulses within it. Your dreams, even this one, are waves rolling across its invisible sea. You turn slowly, sensing a movement you cannot see. Ahead lies a single photon, travelling across the vacuum with perfect grace. It has no mass, no charge, no shape you could draw. But it knows precisely where it is going. It follows the contours of space, riding the invisible hills and valleys shaped by gravity and presence. And as it flies, it stirs the vacuum behind it. It leaves a wake, like a tiny oar in a cosmic lake, causing fields to ripple gently. The photon is not alone. Behind it, another follows, and another. Soon they are all around you, a quiet symphony of movement without collision, direction without resistance. These photons do not light up the dark. They are the dark. Because darkness is not the absence of light. It is the womb from which light emerges. Space, when seen from the inside, is never black. It is full of the potential for colour, waiting to be revealed by consciousness. The photons brushing past you now might never strike a surface. They might fly for billions of years before meeting a planet, a rock, or the retina of a creature like you. But they continue anyway, because motion itself is their language, their purpose. Your fingers twitch in your sleep, a small signal that your body remembers motion too, and you realize, even though you lie perfectly still, your atoms are never still. Inside you, electrons buzz in their clouds, nuclei vibrate, particles exchange tiny messages, even in rest. Your cells, floating in fluid, drift ever so slightly, and the energy that binds you together sings with a frequency borrowed from the vacuum itself. You're not resting on space. You are vibrating within it. Space is not your backdrop. It is your cradle. And now, as your breath slows into its gentlest rhythm yet, something ancient stirs at the edge of awareness. Not a voice, not a presence, a feeling, like standing on the threshold of a vast library, knowing that behind the door lie the blueprints for every star and song and seed. You don't need to open it. You only need to know it's there. Space holds it all. The history's unspoken, the future's unwritten, the murmurs of other minds sleeping just like you, wrapped in the same breath, drifting through the same invisible tide. And somewhere inside that tide another photon prepares to launch, from a distant galaxy, or from the tip of a candle, or from a thought yet to be spoken. It stretches its tiny wings, shaped not of feathers but of frequency, and takes off. It does not know your name, but it knows the path. It knows the breath. It knows how to find you. The photon stretches forward through the breath of space, as if guided by an invisible compass encoded deep within its wave. It is not urgent, not searching, only following a line that has existed since before the beginning. That line bends not straight but curved, carved by the very weight of time itself, and it winds softly toward you. And even now, as you lie folded into layers of quiet, breath shallow and even, that photon moves closer, drawn toward the gravity of your stillness. For in your stillness there is time, not just the time of ticking clocks or rotating planets, but the deeper rhythm, the one built into the cells of your body, the one that ticks in your veins even as your mind surrenders to the tide of sleep. You are a constellation of clocks. Hidden in the warm maze of your flesh are gears made not of metal but of molecules, turning, oscillating, pulsing in unison with a rhythm older than your name. Inside nearly every cell, in every tissue and organ, there lives a clock. Not one that you wound or inherited from your bedside, but one that arose from the dance between light and matter. These are your circadian rhythms, the soft, looping lullabies your body sings to itself, each one shaped by the rise and fall of light. As night deepens around you and photons withdraw from the sky, your cells do not simply sleep. They change shape. Hormones shift. Body temperature cools. The liver adjusts its pace, and even the brain cleans itself, clearing the day's clutter in slow spirals of electrical hush. And it all began with light, not just in some poetic metaphor, but in real molecular terms. Inside the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a tiny cluster of neurons nestled deep within your brain, just above where the optic nerves meet, sits your master clock. It reads daylight, not through intuition, but through the messages sent by the retinas when photons arrive. Those flickers of information tell the clock whether to raise the temperature, whether to lower the heart rate, whether to nudge melatonin into the bloodstream like a warm tide pulling at the shore. The body listens. The body obeys. Even now, even here in the depths of sleep, your body is keeping time. But this time is not mechanical. It is not cold. It breathes with you. It changes, subtly, with seasons, with emotion, with dreams. The body's time is woven of soft materials, cortisol at sunrise, serotonin at dusk, a gentle rise in blood pressure before waking. Every pulse, every sigh, every blink is part of this oceanic rhythm. Even your memories drift upon its currents. You recall morning things better in the morning, evening things in the dark. Your bones, too, remember. Fractures heal faster when they sync with these internal pulses. Wounds close more gracefully when the clock is respected. Time is not just what you live in, it's what you're made of. As the photon approaches now, it does not collide. It arrives. It meets your skin and is received without fanfare, absorbed like a letter arriving exactly when expected. It might strike a pigment cell, or linger on a closed eyelid, or slip quietly into the pineal gland through signals passed along neural threads. Its arrival confirms what your body already knew. That night is here, that the rhythms must deepen, that the slow tide of melatonin must rise further, cooling thought, dimming the lantern of consciousness. It is not sedation, it is permission. And in this permission, the deeper clocks begin to wind down. Even your dreams follow this rhythm. They do not arrive all at once, but in stages. The shallow flutter of early sleep, the soft paralysis of REM, the deep unmeasured ocean of non-REM where the body does its mending. These phases are not random. They unfold in loops, like breath or tide, like the orbit of moons. Each phase has its hour, its flavor, its lesson. And somewhere in the final loop, as dawn approaches from beneath the horizon, the dreams become longer, brighter, stranger. Your brain reheats itself slightly, as if preparing to re-enter the world, but the rhythm still holds, a reminder that even chaos moves in cycles. Perhaps this is why you find peace in ritual, why your body calms with a familiar bedtime song, or why a warm drink before sleep signals more than comfort. It signals rhythm, continuity. You're not a collection of parts. You are a procession of pulses, a field of metronomes ticking not in sync with the digital clocks around you, but with the starlight and shadow that shaped your ancestors' sleep for 1,000 generations. Before there were alarms, there were dawns. Before calendars, there were circadian songs. The roosters did not invent the sunrise. They remembered it. And you, even cocooned in the walls of modern life, still carry that memory in your chest. In your liver, the enzymes wait like quiet conductors, releasing substances in rhythm with this internal symphony. In your skin, cells stretch and contract depending on whether they expect day or night. Even your gut, that second brain, dense with neurons, follows the light. When you eat out of rhythm, the body stumbles. When you rest at odd hours, it reorients. It tries always to return you to your song. Like a compass trying to find north, the body seeks alignment with the sun even in complete darkness. And now, with your body almost entirely surrendered to rest, the rhythm continues without you. You don't need to count it. You don't need to guide it. It carries you like a current beneath a boat. You float, rocked not by motion, but by the dependable sway of internal time. It will wake you gently when the world is ready. It will slow your heart through the night. It will guide your cells through repair and renewal. The body does not sleep without time. It sleeps because of time. And as your breath deepens, each inhale part of that ancient metronome, the photon that arrived from the void, has done its work. Not by shining, not by shouting, but by simply being counted. One small tick in the long, quiet measure that keeps you alive. Another will follow, and another. Your body will know. It always knows. Somewhere, just at the edge of your dreaming, a new question begins to form, like a ripple spreading through still water. If time moves differently depending on speed, then what happens if you move? If you could approach the speed of light itself, would your body's clock still tick? Would your dreams still pass as gently? Or would they stretch into forever? You drift now, holding that question not as a burden, but as a lantern. Let it glow gently, just enough to light the path ahead. The path that leads to speed, to relativity, to a kind of motion that bends the very rhythm you've just come to trust. You drift within the hush of your own rhythm, carrying a glowing question in the cradle of your dream. If you move fast enough to nearly match light itself, does time obey the same rules? Do your thoughts slow, your body wait, your dreams stretch across eternity? The question doesn't disturb your sleep. It rocks you more deeply into it. You're no longer just a listener. You're the child of a question being sung forward across centuries, and tonight it is time to meet the one who asked it aloud. There is a boy sitting on a hillside beneath a wide Swiss sky. The clouds drift like pages half written, and he watches them as if they might answer something he has not yet learned to name. His mind doesn't stay still. It rides, leaps, wanders, and suddenly, in the middle of nothing, he imagines this. What if I could chase a beam of light? What would I see sitting next to it as it moved? Would it freeze beside me, a wave turned solid? Would it blur and vanish? Could I ever catch it at all? He is only 16. His name is Albert. The world knows him yet only as a student. But this question, this quiet flicker, will become the fire that lights everything else. You drift beside him now, unseen, your dream body hovering just a breath above his shoulder. You feel the wild stillness of his thought, the way it blooms without needing answers, to chase light, not to catch it, but to understand it. That's where his imagination begins, with the impossibility of stillness at the speed of light. Because if you could ride light, if you could sit upon a photon and coast through space, everything would stop. The wave would no longer wave, the clock would no longer tick. Time, for you, would stretch so thin it would snap. Years pass. The boy grows. He writes papers in the quiet of his mind outside the walls of universities. He works in a patent office, examining inventions, but the invention he's building lives in thought alone. And then, in 1905, it happens. He releases a paper called On the Electrodynamics of Moving Bodies. Inside, he explains what happens when you let go of the idea that time is universal, when you instead say, what if the speed of light is always the same, for everyone, no matter how they move? This one shift, this simple, elegant principle, rearranges the cosmos. It means that space and time are not fixed, separate things. They are woven together, like threads in a single tapestry. If you pull on space, time stretches. If you rush forward, time relaxes around you. The faster you move, the slower your clock ticks. Not because it malfunctions, but because time itself is adjusting lovingly to your motion. You carry time with you like a heartbeat, and the universe, generous and precise, respects your journey. This is special relativity, and you're lying inside its truth, even now, as your sleeping body cruises through space at thousands of kilometers per hour on this spinning Earth, through a galaxy turning ever forward. You see it now, don't you? The speed of light isn't just a number. It's the rulebook by which time and space keep harmony. It's the tempo of the universe's breath. No matter how fast you run, how far you leap, light outruns you, always. But because it always moves at the same speed, it forces everything else to adapt. This is not punishment. It is symmetry. It is balance. And it means that time is not a master clock hanging in the sky. Time is a garden that grows differently for every traveller. Imagine now that you board a spaceship, sleek and humming, made of dreams and thought and silent propulsion. It begins to move, slowly at first, then faster. You feel no jolt, no shake, but your clocks tick slower. Your heart still beats, your breath still sighs, but if someone were watching from Earth, they'd see you begin to stretch in time. Days for you would pass, but months would pass for them. The faster you move, the more dramatic the difference. And if you could reach near light speed, your time would nearly stop. You would arrive somewhere far away, a star, a galaxy, and return to find the Earth older, changed, maybe even gone. This isn't science fiction. This is math wrapped in reality, proven again and again with particles and satellites and atomic clocks. And still, despite all of this, no matter how clever you are, how advanced your ship, light stays ahead. You cannot reach it. Not because you're not fast enough, but because your mass resists. As your speed increases, your energy increases, and that energy, tied to your mass, grows heavier. To go faster, you need more and more energy, and to reach the speed of the light, you'd need infinite energy. The universe doesn't allow it. Not because it is cruel, but because it is precise, because light is a messenger of laws, not a loophole. It teaches you the value of limits. Still, you can chase it. You can imagine. And Einstein did. He dreamed not just of light speed, but of its consequence. He imagined elevators and falling bodies, light bending near massive objects, time running slow for astronauts and fast for those on Earth. Each dream became an equation, each equation a window, and through those windows we've seen black holes, ripples in space-time, the expansion of the universe itself. All from a boy who asked, "What happens if I try to ride a beam of light?" And now you lie here, still and warm and carried in that same question. The fabric of your blanket could just as easily be the fabric of space-time. The softness of your breath matches the softness of 1,000 shifting reference frames, each person in the world experiencing time at their own quiet tempo. And yet somehow, you all share the same light, the same upper bound, the same glowing constant that neither slows nor rushes. You feel it differently now, don't you? Light is no longer a wave or a particle alone. It is a lesson, a promise, that the universe makes room for every kind of motion, so long as you listen to the limit, so long as you honor the speed that binds everything else. That photon you followed earlier, it still moves, not faster than light, but as light. It doesn't experience time, it doesn't wait or wonder, but you do, because you are not light. You are something richer, something woven of motion and stillness, of thought and waiting. You are a body wrapped in time, and time stretches around you like gravity around a star. And as you drift now, eyes unmoving behind closed lids, the ship of thought slows. You are no longer chasing light. You are floating behind it, watching the trail it leaves through the night. You wonder, if time bends for motion, what bends for gravity? What happens when light curves through the presence of something so massive it pulls the very geometry of space around itself? What shape does light take when the world beneath it is not flat but folded? Hold that wondering softly, like a feather on your palm. Don't answer, don't resist. Just drift toward the next bend in the story, where even straight lines are not what they seem. You float now, not in space, but in thought, hovering gently in the wake of light, trailing behind its perfect, relentless path. But as you watch it move, something subtle stirs in the quiet fabric beneath it. The path that once seemed so straight begins to shimmer, to twist not suddenly but with a slow grace. The way a ribbon curves in wind you cannot feel. You blink in the way dreamers blink, not to clear vision, but to deepen it. And what you see next reshapes everything you thought you knew. Light, the great straight traveller, bends, not because it chooses to, but because the very stage it dances across, space itself, has been curved. This is the truth Einstein reached for next, when his thoughts expanded from the speed of light to the presence of mass. The chase was no longer about how light moves through stillness, but how light behaves when the stillness itself bends under the weight of gravity. And here, in the heart of that question, time and space surrender their independence and become one. Space-time, a woven dynamic tapestry, invisible to eyes but undeniable to motion, when mass, like a star or a planet or your sleeping body exists, it presses down upon this fabric, and space-time, ever obedient, curves around it, shaping not only the path of falling apples, but the path of racing photons. Imagine a marble on a stretched sheet. A small pebble barely dents it, but a heavy ball sinks deep, pulling the fabric into a bowl. Now roll another marble past the edge. It curves inward, not because it is drawn by invisible strings, but because it is simply following the shape of the sheet. That is gravity. That is why light curves not from desire, but from geometry. It is not pulled by gravity. It simply obeys the curvature carved by massive things. This is how light, which has no weight, still bows to the presence of the heavy. You lie on your side now, blanketed and listening, and your mind begins to shape these truths into sensations. You feel the mattress beneath you as more than comfort. You imagine the earth beneath the mattress pressing into space-time like a thumb into dough. Not deeply, but enough to form a gentle valley. You're resting in that valley now. Your clock, ticking softly inside your chest, ticks just a touch slower than it would far above you, outside Earth's well. If you were to climb a mountain or dream yourself there, your heartbeat would quicken, not from altitude, but from time flowing just slightly faster. Gravity bends more than light. It bends the very rate at which you exist. You drift further into this idea, letting it wrap around your mind like a shawl. Somewhere far above Earth, satellites orbit in carefully calculated paths. They send signals down to guide your maps, your clocks, your calls. But before those signals arrive, the engineers must account for the difference in time caused by gravity. Because in weaker gravity, higher up, time moves faster. Left uncorrected, your GPS would be off by miles in mere minutes. The machines know this. They've learned to adjust. Space is curved, and our calculations must follow that curve. But what of light? What happens when it skirts the edge of something massive, say a star? It bends just slightly, its path curving as if politely stepping aside. This phenomenon, gravitational lensing, lets us see things we could never otherwise glimpse. Light from a galaxy behind a black hole is bent, forming arcs and rings, like ghostly halos in the dark. These are not tricks of the eye, they're signatures of space-time, written in the language of curvature. You see one now, forming in your dreamlike vision, a faint ring of blue around a dark centre. The light did not travel in a circle, it travelled straight through space that itself was curved. You begin to understand, nothing in the universe truly moves in a straight line. The idea of straightness is local, temporary. In the presence of mass, in the hush of gravity, all lines bend, all paths yield. Even light, the fastest messenger, listens to the shape of space-time before proceeding. It is not rebellion, it is agreement. The light agrees to trace the curve, to honour the geometry, to follow the contours of gravity's quiet hand, and you, warm and nestled now, feel the same hand. Not as pressure, but as presence. The gravity of your own body presses softly into the mattress. Your breath, slow and steady, seems to sink just a little deeper than before. You too shape the fabric of space around you, not dramatically, not cosmically, but enough. Enough that you matter. Enough that the universe adjusts, however slightly, to accommodate your weight, your warmth, your being. Even black holes, those mysterious wellsprings of curvature, begin as ordinary mass, a collapsed star, folded in on itself, curving space-time so tightly that not even light can escape its embrace. It is not a monster, but a region where the rules we know stretch to their limit. And yet even here, photons dance. They skim the event horizon. They spiral outward if they arrive just right. Light does not fear the curve. It explores it. It marks the edge between known and unknown, and you, in your dreaming, drift toward that same edge, not dangerously, but curiously. guided by the photon you've followed since the beginning. Its path curves now, not because it's slowing, it can't, but because it's gliding along the slope of something vast, something invisible. It follows not a road but a contour, like wind over hills, and just ahead, that curve sharpens, not dangerously but with meaning, a bend that leads toward another story, another truth waiting in the folds, a truth that will ask you to think not only of time and space but of motion and flow, of rivers that carry you where you do not yet know you're going. For even now, beneath the curve, something flows, something waits to show you how time does not hold still, not even in dreams. Something calls you toward the current that lies ahead. The curve becomes a stream, not of water, not of matter, but of time. You don't see it as you would see a river on earth, with ripples and banks and glittering foam. Number. This river is invisible, but you feel it the way you feel the current when standing waist deep in the sea. Not with your eyes, but with a deep-rooted memory inside your skin. It pulls not downward, but forward, relentlessly, softly. It carries you even when you lie still. This is time, not as number, not as clock, but as motion. The silent flow beneath every breath, every heartbeat, every orbit, every drift of dust across a windowsill. And though you sleep now, slack-jawed and at peace, you're still afloat in it. Time does not wait for you to wake. It does not pause for the resting or the busy. It does not care if you count it or ignore it. It moves, always, everywhere, and not evenly, not gently. In some places it slows. In others it stretches, distorts, loops back or pools like still water. You might think of time as a ruler, clean, marked, measured. But here, in the deeper layers of dream, you see it differently. You see it as a river winding through a canyon carved not by erosion, but by gravity. You drift now through that canyon, not paddling, not resisting. Time's flow catches you and carries you forward. And around you, the world begins to pulse with its hidden rhythms. The earth, spinning once every 24 hours. The moon dancing around it in 29-day circles. The earth again moving around the sun once a year. Each spin, each orbit a stroke in the river, a slow, endless turning. Your life has been written on these turns. Birthdays, seasons, migrations, blossoming and fading. And yet, you almost never notice that all this is motion through time. Not motion in time. Motion is time. Even now, in this very moment of rest, your molecules vibrate with energy that came from stars. Inside your cells, small engines churn, powered by the mitochondria, those ancient passengers inside you, who remember a time before multicellular life. They do not know the hour, but they obey the river. They burn sugars, move ions, pulse in cycles. Without ever seeing a clock, they keep time. And your heart, though calmed by sleep, beats in a rhythm shaped by generations of beatings before you. Your mother's womb, your grandmother's breath, a long ancestry of pulse. And still, the river runs. Time, unlike any other dimension, flows in one direction. Space can be retraced. You can walk backward, turn, return to where you began. But time is unidirectional. An arrow pointing always ahead. Physicists call this the arrow of time, and you feel it even if you don't understand it. Milk swirls into coffee but never unswirls. A teacup shatters but never reforms. A childhood moment is lived once, then sealed. This irreversibility, this flow, is linked to entropy, the tendency of all systems to move from order toward disorder. And so, in a way, time is born from change. The universe expands, cools, unfurls, and as it does, time ticks forward. But what if, and here your dream self opens a new door, what if you could slow down? Not just inside your body, but within time itself. Einstein's theory already told you. If you move fast enough, time slows down for you. It stretches. A traveller aboard a fast-moving ship ages more slowly than those left behind. This is not science fiction. It is truth, confirmed by atomic clocks flown on planes, ticking differently than those on the ground. If you stood near a black hole, time would slow even more. A minute to you could be hours for someone elsewhere. Time, then, is not fixed. It is woven, elastic, sensitive to where you stand and how you move. So now imagine yourself not sleeping, but floating. A tiny capsule drifting just outside a black hole. Not inside, not crushed, but hovering on the edge. From your window, you see the universe unfolding, stars flaring, galaxies spinning. But as someone far away, you're nearly frozen. Your time, so close to intense gravity, has almost stopped. You sip your tea. You write a letter. But on Earth, years pass, generations. You have not moved, but time has moved differently around you. And this is why the river of time is not smooth. It ripples, it eddies, it flows faster in some places, slower in others. Space and gravity shape it, and motion reshapes it again. Even your memories reflect this. Days full of routine blur together, their hours slipping by unnoticed. But moments of awe, of terror or wonder or love, seem to expand. A second stretches into a lifetime, a kiss, a first step, the moment before a fall, the final goodbye. Time bends not just in physics but in perception. Your mind is not a clock. It is a boat in the river, rocked by experience. And in dreams that boat sometimes floats above the water. You step outside time altogether. A second in the waking world becomes hours in the dream. Or the reverse. You wake after what feels like days to find only a few minutes passed. Time in dreams is liquid. It pools, it leaps, it fragments and recombines, and yet it always flows. The river never rests, even when it loops, even when it slows, even when it disappears, it is still there, the current under everything. As you feel your body sink further into stillness, your dream self senses the deep thrum of that river. It is not loud. It does not rush, but it is constant, and you know now that time is not your enemy. It is not something to race or waste. It is the very medium through which you exist, and light, their messenger, the spark, rides its surface with impossible poise. Light and time are not separate. They are lovers in motion, always together, always intertwined. And just ahead, the river narrows. You feel it in the way your thoughts begin to shift colour. The physics remains, but something new is forming. Not time, but colour, sound, frequency. A question rises. What happens when light changes as it moves? When motion paints it a different shade? What story does the universe tell when even colour is shaped by speed? The river narrows, not into a stream you could measure with sight or sound, but into a filament of sensation, where time and light no longer feel like separate things. Instead, they blend, becoming waves that overlap and shift, painting reality not in absolutes, but as hues. And suddenly, as if the universe tilts slightly in its own sleep, you find yourself standing on the riverbank of this dream stream, watching light change colour as it moves. It is not a trick, it is a truth. Motion can change colour, and colour, you realise now, is not fixed in the way we once believed. It breathes, it stretches, it deepens as it flees and sharpens as it nears. Picture this. a siren passing down a road. As it approaches, its pitch is high, clear, almost sharp. But as it speeds away, that pitch drops, softens, sinks. This is the Doppler effect, a gentle consequence of motion, and it doesn't only apply to sound. Light too sings a different note depending on how it moves relative to you. When an object rushes toward you through space, the light it emits compresses, shifting toward the blue end of the spectrum. Shorter, tighter waves. When it speeds away, the light stretches, reddens, its waves lengthening like threads pulled from fabric. This is redshift and blue shift, and it means that colour is not a label, but a message. You feel that now, as if the stars themselves are not just twinkling lights, but messengers whispering how far and how fast they travel. That red-tinged galaxy far across the universe isn't red because that's its true colour. It's red because it is moving away from you, fast enough to stretch its light into lower frequencies. And the blue-white star near your dream's horizon, it's not simply hot. It's hurrying toward you, its light tightened by its pace. Space is a concert hall, and every object plays a note shaped by motion. The sky, silent to your ears, is a symphony of frequencies, always shifting, always moving. You lie deeper now in your bed, but within your mind's reach, you hold a prism, an invisible one, and you watch it, split light not only by wavelength, but by speed. You begin to understand. Colour is a perception, yes, but it is also a clock. A moving star carries its own time within its light, and that time reaches you warped, shifted, singing in a new key. Astronomers listen to this silent key and learn the motion of the cosmos. They chart expansion. They calculate drift. They tell us not just where a galaxy is, but where it is going, and how fast. It is humbling, isn't it? That even light must admit to motion, that even something so fast, so constant, can be tilted by perspective. You think of light as fixed, but your experience of it is anything but. From the surface of a moving Earth, you look at the stars, but the star's light has been red-shifted, blue-shifted, bent and filtered by the movement of galaxies, the speed of rotation, the gravity of celestial bodies. By the time it touches your eye, it has already told a dozen stories to velocity of direction of change. And here on Earth, in simpler ways, you witness this every day without knowing it. The sky at sunrise blazes red and gold, not because the sun has changed, but because its light, stretched by the thick edge of the atmosphere, shifts toward red. The deeper the angle, the redder the hue. You're watching the physics of motion with every sunrise. And at noon, when the sun is highest, light falls straight and clear, and the sky appears blue because those short waves scatter more easily. It is the same light. It is the same sun. But the path, the angle, the medium, these shift its colour, just as motion shifts the colour of stars. Now your dream widens. You float upward, above the atmosphere, above the clouds, where the stars no longer twinkle. They shine sharp and silent. Here in the hush, you pass near a star moving fast. Its light is blue. Not just blue, but bright, electric, almost white with urgency. You drift farther past it and turn. Now, looking back, that same light has softened to red, almost bruised with distance, and yet nothing about the star itself changed. Only your frame of reference, only your relationship to its motion. Einstein understood this too, that perception is never separate from motion. There is no still place in the universe from which to measure. Every measurement depends on where you are and how you are moving. And so, light does not deceive us. It simply reflects the truth of our position in a moving cosmos. A cosmos where nothing stands still, and colour is just another way to whisper velocity. You breathe deeper now, still nestled in blankets, but your awareness feels tinted, touched by the glow of stars in motion. You imagine that even your dreams might carry red shift and blue shift, depending on how fast your mind spins. Perhaps this is why some memories feel bright and sharp, while others fade into the softness of distance. Perhaps thoughts, too, shift frequency as they move across the space of years. A childhood laugh may arrive, now tinged with nostalgia, stretched by time's passage into something more golden, more mellow. But it is still light, still travelling, still here. And here's a quieter thought. Your body, though small compared to stars, emits light too. Not visible, not bright, but in the form of infrared. Heat. You radiate constantly. If someone moved quickly past you, they would see your warmth shift. Your signature would change. In a sense, your presence would be painted a different colour just because someone rushed by. You're not immune to the universe's shifting palette. You are part of it. A warm note in the infrared symphony. So tonight, as your pulse slows and your muscles surrender to gravity, know that light still plays across you, from above, from below, from within. Your breath, slow as tides now, might well carry some frequency of its own. And the motion of your sleeping form, curled slightly on your side, moves ever so gently relative to the stars. If they could speak, they'd tell of your colour, just as you tell of theirs. And as you float in this quiet realization, another question begins to hum at the edge of your dream. If light's colour changes with motion, then what of its massless body? Can it carry weight in other ways? Can something so lightless in burden still move the world? You're still floating, cradled in the quiet of motion, wrapped in the dreamlike notion that light has colour, that it sings in different keys depending on how it moves. But now, as that thought settles into the stillness of your sleeping breath, something stirs beneath it. A question, faint at first but persistent. You follow it not with urgency, but with curiosity. How can something with no mass leave an imprint? How can something that carries no weight still push, still pull, still bend the path of the world around it? You drift deeper into that question, as though stepping into the cool mouth of a cave made entirely of paradox. Light, massless, weightless, constant, has no rest frame. You cannot sit beside it, you cannot slow it, and yet it moves things, not just metaphorically but physically. When sunlight touches your skin, you feel its warmth. But that warmth is only part of the story. It's not just heat, it's momentum, a whisper of pressure, a push. So subtle you don't notice. But when a photon lands, it transfers energy, it nudges the surface. Imagine now a tiny disk, perfectly smooth, suspended in space. No gravity, no air, just silence. If you shine a beam of light upon it, slowly, steadily, over time, the disk will begin to spin. Nothing touches it. No hand, no wind, only photons, and yet they move it. This is radiation pressure, and it is one of the strangest truths in all of physics. Massless particles can carry momentum. They can strike. They can push. They can change the motion of things. Without weight, they still leave fingerprints. You think of this now as you lie deeper into your bed, the blankets rising and falling with the tide of your breath. You too are being touched by light, even in the dark. Photons from distant stars, some having travelled billions of years, may end their journey upon the wall beside your bed, or the soft curve of your shoulder. You do not wake, but they arrive, and in arriving they deliver a push. In the grand scale of things, it's imperceptible, but it happens. The entire universe, in a way, is being massaged by light. A massage so delicate, so patient, it sculpts galaxies and cradles comets across centuries. You now remember how sunlight once pushed a comet's tail, a long glowing veil trailing behind the nucleus. The comet moves, yes, but its tail is not behind it due to its speed. It is blown away, radiation swept, photons herding the smallest particles of ice and dust. A comet is a memory made visible, and light shapes how it is remembered. You see it now, in your dream, a comet floating, its body composed of old water, ancient rock, and its tail streaming not in fire, but in surrender to the invisible hand of photons. And this invisible hand has other names too. One of them is solar sail, a dream made real in recent years. A spacecraft wide as a kite, thin as breath, propelled not by rockets, not by engines, but by light alone. Photons strike the sail and push it forward. Slowly, yes, but without fuel, without exhaustion, just motion carved by brightness. You picture yourself inside such a vessel, adrift in the great quiet between planets. No rumble, no wind, just the press of photons on polished sails. Forward, always forward, and suddenly the thought blooms inside you like a star unfolding. Light behaves as though it has mass, even though it has none. It carries energy. It obeys momentum. It travels along curves created by gravity, and in doing so, it seems to play by the rules of mass. But it isn't weighted. It isn't held down. It is massless, yes, but not powerless. And here, in this pause, you begin to feel something else, the twinship between energy and mass. You've heard the equation before, perhaps whispered like poetry from the edge of a textbook, perhaps traced in the dust of memory. E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. A small amount of mass holds an enormous amount of energy. An energy, if dense enough, concentrated enough, can become mass. They are not opposites. They are reflections, shadows of each other in different light. This means light, though massless, still contains energy, and in some conditions energy can give birth to particles with mass. In particle accelerators, two photons colliding with enough force can transform into matter. Out of light, a particle is born, a real one, with mass, with charge, with substance. It is as if two ripples meet on a pond and somehow become a stone. This is not fiction. It has been seen, studied, repeated. Light becomes matter, and your body, your mind, your very breath, each atom within you was forged in this truth. The early universe was a forge where energy cooled, slowed, crystallized into particles. Light became electrons, photons birthed quarks, and slowly, from chaos, mass took shape. It clothed itself in gravity, in temperature, in chemistry, and it became you, made of stardust, but before stardust made of light, before light made of expansion, before that only silence and motion and potential. You're not separate from the photons. You're their cousin. You're a song that once was wave, slowed into solidity. And though you carry mass now, you still shimmer with that heritage. Your cells emit light, invisible, infrared warmth. Your neurons fire in pulses that trace the speed of electricity. You think in frequencies, you dream in waves, you speak in breath, which rides upon air which is only slowed motion. And so you lie here, quiet and still, but your lineage moves at light speed. You come from a force that moves things without touching them, that travels without rest, that bends around planets, pushes sails through space, sculpts the tails of comets, and dances between gravity and time. You come from light's secret twin, the shadow of mass, the echo of energy held just long enough to matter. And now, as the room around you hums gently with unseen photons, you wonder, if light can act like mass, can mass act like light? Can something heavy become free? Can something dense unravel into pure motion again? You rest beneath the hush of blankets, still adrift in the shimmering question. If light, massless and tireless, can become matter, then can matter become light again? Can something heavy dissolve into pure speed? Can the body, so bound by gravity and breath, someday move with the same unhindered grace as a photon? For a moment it feels almost within reach. You imagine your cells unzipping, not painfully, but willingly, offering their energy back to the cosmos in ribbons of light, returning to the speed that once whispered them into form. But just as you begin to lift in that thought, another truth settles gently beside you, like a hand resting on your shoulder, and it says simply, no. Not because the universe is cruel, not because it refuses the dream, but because this world, the one stitched from laws and constants, holds speed close like a sacred promise, and at the heart of that promise is light, swift, constant, uncatchable. No signal, no shadow, no force moves faster. Nothing surpasses it, and the reason why lies not in limitation, but in the way speed is woven into mass, into energy, into every breath you take. Imagine now that you're running, not across a field, but through space-time itself. With each step you accelerate, and your body begins to feel heavier, not in the way muscles ache, but in the way energy thickens. You're not gaining fat or weight. You are gathering resistance to further speed. This is not friction. This is not gravity. This is the universe responding to your motion with a quiet truth. The faster you go, the more energy you require to go faster still. And the closer you approach the speed of light, the more energy it demands. An exponential hunger that never ends. By the time you near that sacred threshold, you would need infinite energy to cross it. Infinite. Not large, not extreme. Endless. And that is the universe's gentle wall. Not a brick wall, not a barrier, but a curve that becomes too steep to climb. You're allowed to approach. You're allowed to dream. But to cross, that would be to ask space-time to fold entirely in your favour. And space-time is fair to all. It offers no shortcuts. You lie still now, and your breath becomes a metaphor. Inhale, acceleration. Exhale, resistance. Your lungs fill, your chest rises, but there is always a pause. That pause, that tiny resistance, is the memory of speed's limit echoing through the body. Even your blood respects the ceiling. Even your thoughts, moving through neurons at less than a fraction of light's pace, honor the rule. This is not failure. It is balance. It is safety. Were it otherwise, were speed unchecked, time itself would fracture. Causality would crumble. A message should arrive before it was sent. A moment could occur before its cause. And so the universe, in its elegant construction, keeps light as the fastest heartbeat, the highest wave crest. And yet, even within that law, motion flourishes, rockets arc, particles accelerate, cosmic rays, charged messengers from the stars, race through space at speed so close to light they blur the difference. And though they never reach it, they flirt with its edges. This near speed creates strange effects. A particle that should exist for a split second in its own rest frame can survive longer from our point of view. Time stretches for the fast, distances compress. 1,000 kilometers can become a few. To the particle, the journey seems brief, though to us it spans continents. You consider now your own pace, not of walking or running, but of aging. If you were to climb aboard a ship and travel at 99.9% the speed of light, time for you would stretch thin. What feels like a year to you might be a decade to those on Earth. This is not fantasy, it's tested. This is why astronauts' clocks tick a fraction slower than those on the surface. It is why twin paradoxes are more than thought experiments. One twin, moving fast, ages slower, not because they are healthier, but because they are closer to light's rhythm. But no matter how fast the twin flies, they never reach the final note. Light remains ahead, always just out of touch. This is why nothing with mass can go faster, not because mass is a punishment, but because it is a companion to energy, and energy bends beneath speed's weight. The universe remembers every acceleration. It folds that memory into your motion, shaping the curve of your existence. And what of the massless? What of light itself? Why does it travel at this particular speed and not faster still? Why 299,792 kilometers per second? Why not a different rhythm? The answer lies in the fabric of the vacuum, the electric and magnetic fields that fill even empty space. Light is not a wanderer, it is a self-sustaining wave, an electric field birthing a magnetic field birthing an electric field, on and on. And the speed of light is determined by the constants that define how those fields speak to one another. It is not arbitrary. It is baked into the structure of the cosmos. Change the speed of light, and you change everything. Atoms, time, chemistry, stars, life. And so, the limit is not just a rule, it is a foundation. Light moves at the speed it does because the universe must be what it is. And you, resting now within that universe, are shaped by it. You do not move at light speed, but the light speed limit shapes every part of your life. How you see, how you remember, how you love. A hug takes time, a message travels, a life begins, unfolds, ends, all within the boundary that light has drawn. Yet this limit, though firm, is not a prison. It allows complexity. It allows cause to precede effect. It allows time to exist. Without it, events would blur. Physics would become incoherent. But with it, everything flows. And in that flow you find meaning. Even your dreams obey it, arriving not all at once, but in waves, sequences, gentle patterns unfolding within the stillness. And now, as you lie curled deeper in this long night's rhythm, the limit no longer feels like a wall. It feels like a heartbeat, a metronome, a reminder that speed is not everything, that stillness too holds power, that what matters most is not how fast you move, but what you become while moving. Still, a flicker stirs in the corner of your sleep, a spark of playful disobedience. What if, somewhere, there were a way around it? What if something could break the rule, not to destroy you float there, wrapped in the lullaby of limits, your breath slow, your thoughts threaded with the hush of deep cosmic rhythms, and yet a strange shimmer curls at the edges of your sleep. Not a contradiction, not an argument, but a dream leaning ever so gently against the rules, a ripple of what if, softly spoken through the velvet hush of night. What if something could move faster than light? Not to mock the universe, not to break it, but to suggest that even within boundaries, imagination might find a way to slip between the seams. You do not wake. but something inside you stirs, tuning toward that fragile impossibility. It appears not as a beam or flash, but as a whisper with a name. Tachyon. A word almost too quick to hold, too light to pin down. It flickers at the far end of the imagination, beyond where known particles dwell, beyond even light's razor-sharp edge of speed. Tachyons, if they exist, do not walk. They cannot rest. They cannot slow. They're always faster than light. Born beyond the speed limit, they exist not just outside our reach, but outside our understanding of cause and effect. And yet, you drift closer, curious. The mind, even in sleep, wants to trace the shape of such mystery. So you imagine a particle, smaller than thought, faster than lightning, racing through space-time with the audacity to ignore the very rules that govern everything else. But as you follow it, you find the air begins to ripple strangely. Time no longer flows forward with certainty. One moment stretches sideways, another loops back. You reach out, and the cause slips through your fingers, leaving only the echo of an effect already done. Tachyons, it seems, would not just move faster than light. They would move backward through time. You pause there, suspended in a moment without anchor. The idea unsettles and intrigues you all at once. A world with tachyons is a world where messages could arrive before they were sent, where footsteps could press into sand before feet ever approached, where memory and prophecy blur, folding over each other like sheets in a windless night. It is beautiful, perhaps, but dangerous, because in such a world, paradoxes bloom like wildflowers. Send a message into the past and you might erase the need to send it at all. Say hello before meeting. Fall in love before knowing a name. In a world of tachyons, certainty unravels, and physics, that careful garden of laws and balance, begins to come undone. Still, the dream holds you. After all, tachyons were not invented by poets, but by physicists. Mathematical ghosts summoned from equations that hinted, in their complex solutions, at the possibility of imaginary mass. Not imaginary as in pretend, but as in the square root of -1, a number that cannot be visualized on any ordinary number line. And from this strange arithmetic, the ghost of the tachyon flickered into the edge of theory, not as a certainty, not even as a likelihood, but as a whisper. If mass could be imaginary, velocity could exceed light. You follow this whisper now through a tunnel of soft starlight, imagining what it might feel like to be made of such a thing. If you were a tachyon, you could never be still. Motion would be your only state. To slow down would mean approaching the speed of light from above, not below. But you could never cross that barrier. Not downward, not upward. Light is the horizon between worlds, and you would live forever on the far side, unseen, uncatchable, always rushing. But something else strikes you now, deeper than wonder, something more human. What if tachyons are not real particles, but metaphors? Not objects to be caught, but symbols for our deepest longing, for movement without effort, for communication across the distances time creates, for the undoing of regret. Perhaps we invented the idea of faster than light not to challenge physics, but to comfort ourselves in the face of finality. If something could outrun light, maybe something could also outrun loss, or death, or goodbye. You feel this thought settle quietly in your chest. The desire to reverse time is an ancient one, a wish not for control, but for healing. And tachyons, those flickers of impossible speed, become the dream that perhaps the past is not sealed, that perhaps, beneath all this rhythm and law, there is still space for a miracle. And yet, even as you linger in that thought, another truth rises slow and warm. The beauty of the universe may lie not in what it allows, but in what it protects. By placing a limit on speed, by guarding the arrow of time, the cosmos gives us sequence, it gives us memory, it gives us meaning. If everything happened all at once, or in reverse, or without cause, the story of your life would scatter like leaves in wind. You would not know joy, because it would arrive before longing. You would not know peace, because it would arrive before fear. You would not know love, because it would arrive before the ache that shapes it. So you lie now, not disappointed, but grateful. Grateful for a world in which speed is real, in which time flows forward, in which even photons born without mass still know direction. And maybe tachyons are real, somewhere. Maybe they laugh through universes where cause and effect are not required companions. But in this universe, in this story, you find solace in the very limits that once felt like cages. Because they are not cages, they are frameworks. They are the tensioned strings of a harp, and without them no song would play. Still the question lingers, like a feather drifting just above your dreams. If we cannot go faster than light, could we cheat the distance another way? Not by speed, but by folding, by connecting two faraway places through a hidden tunnel? Not a path that breaks the rules, but one that travels through them in some deeper layer of the cosmos. You lie nestled beneath the soft quilt of night, a feather caught in the steady breath of your own dreams. The question from before lingers, a gentle pulse in the quiet. If nothing can outrun light, could there be another way to cross vast distances, not by speed, but by folding space itself, to travel not faster but differently? And in that question, you feel the universe open a door into one of its most delicate secrets, the hidden choreography of light's slow, graceful dances. Imagine a dance floor not of wood or stone, but of space and time itself, a flexible stage woven from the fabric of reality. On this floor, light does not always move in straight lines. Sometimes it loops, curves, pirouettes through paths that seem impossible, but are woven by the geometry of space-time. These dances are slow compared to the dazzling sprint of photons, but no less breathtaking. They whisper of tunnels and shortcuts, of bridges connecting distant points, not through speed, but through shape. These bridges are called wormholes, hypothetical passages linking one region of space to another, as if space folds back on itself like a paper map creased just right. Instead of running across the surface, you might step through the fold and appear somewhere else instantly. For light, these shortcuts could change everything. Suddenly the cosmos would not be a vast ocean to cross, but a garden with hidden gates. You feel the allure of this idea deep in your bones, a shortcut through the infinite, a bridge across the impossible. Yet, wormholes remain elusive, fragile whispers in the language of physics. They require conditions so extreme, exotic matter with negative energy, space-time curving beyond what ordinary matter can produce, that they might never be stable enough for travel, even for light. Still, the theory persists. The math hints at possibility. The dream lingers. Because light's dance is not always a straight sprint. Sometimes it is a slow spiral, a twist through the labyrinth of the universe's own design. Beyond wormholes you find another dance, gravitational lensing. Light curves gently around massive objects, galaxies, clusters, black holes, turning their presence into cosmic mirrors and magnifiers. Through these natural lenses, light's path lengthens, stretching the journey but also revealing hidden vistas. Astronomers watch the distant universe magnified by these dances, uncovering stars that would otherwise be lost in the dark. Light, though it must follow the rules of speed, still finds ways to pirouette through gravity's embrace, its path extended yet elegant. As you imagine these slow dances, you sense their rhythm intertwine with your own breath. Each inhale, a crescendo, each exhale, a gentle fall. Your body too is a stage for light's subtle movement. Infrared photons emitted by your warmth drift slowly outward, painting the space around you with invisible strokes. Within your cells, chemical bonds absorb and emit light in tiny steps, energy exchanged in a slow waltz of electrons. The dance is constant, unending, weaving the invisible melody of life itself. In this intimate interplay, speed is not the only measure of light's power. It can be slow, soft, patient, threading through molecules, guiding vision, nourishing green leaves in gentle cascades. Think of twilight, when light's waves stretch and soften, colors deepen into blues and purples, and the sun's last rays perform their slow descent. It is here that light reveals its tender face, not the blinding flash, but the comforting glow, the slow dance before the hush of night. You feel your body align with this rhythm. Your pulse slows, muscles release, thoughts blur into a quiet pool. Light moves through you, not only racing from distant stars, but whispering in the subtle warmth of your skin, in the glint of your eyelashes, in the delicate transmission of nerve signals. Each of these movements is a dance in its own right, a small choreography of photons and particles swirling in gentle harmony. And as you drift, cradled by these rhythms, the thought grows that perhaps the universe's deepest truths are found not in speed or distance alone, but in the pattern of movement, the choreography of connection, the slow dance of light bending, folding, stretching, through space and time speaks of a cosmos alive with motion both grand and subtle, fierce and tender. This dance is not only external but internal. Within you, light and matter whirl together in a quiet, endless ballet. Electrons leap between orbits, molecules shift shape, energy flows in delicate arcs. Your mind, illuminated by this inner glow, traces the steps of memory, the leaps of imagination, the pirouette of dreams. All are threads in the universal choreography, a dance where speed matters less than grace and connection. You feel sleep deepen now, your awareness folding gently into darkness, cradled by the slow music of the cosmos. And just as the music swells to a quiet pause, another question settles softly on your breath, an invitation to follow a new movement in the dance. How does light's slow dance change when the universe itself grows, stretches, and breathes? How do these steps change in the unfolding rhythm of cosmic expansion? You do not answer. You let the question hover, like a note held just long enough for the next movement to begin. Your breath slows once more. Your body sinks deeper into stillness, and the dance continues, unseen, unhurried, eternal. You drift deeper now, your mind folding inward like a soft flower closing its petals against the night. The slow dance of light, the curves of space and time, the whisper of impossible speeds. All these thoughts blend into a gentle rhythm, like waves lapping quietly at the shore of sleep. And within this stillness, a new image begins to take shape. A single grain of light, a photon, simple and yet profound, carrying the secrets of the universe within its fleeting form. This tiny traveller is more than a speck. It is a universe itself, a universe of history, motion, and potential. Born in the heart of a star, or birthed in the first moments after the Big Bang, it journeys across the cosmic ocean, crossing distances so vast they boggle the mind. Each photon carries the memory of where it came from, the story of its voyage, and the whisper of what it will become. Like a sealed letter floating on the tide, it carries messages that you and I can only begin to decipher. You imagine holding this grain of light between your fingers, though it slips effortlessly through your grasp, more wave than particle, more dream than substance. It does not age or tire, it does not shrink or grow. It is timeless, eternal in its motion, and yet profoundly fleeting. In the span of a heartbeat, it will touch your retina, spark a signal in your brain, and vanish, its journey ending only to begin anew elsewhere. And inside this moment, you sense something miraculous. The photon connects you to everything, to the sunlit leaves outside your window, to the distant galaxies spinning in silent harmony, to the very atoms that build your body. It is a thread weaving through the tapestry of existence, linking you to the vast cosmic web. You're not separate from this light. You are part of its story, and it is part of yours. As you let this thought settle, you feel the grain of light pulse gently, echoing the rhythm of your own breath. It is a reminder that the universe in all its grandeur and mystery is accessible in the smallest details. The sparkle of a star, the warmth of sunlight, the flicker of a flame. Within this grain lies the dance of creation and destruction, the interplay of energy and matter, the unfolding of time and space. Your body, too, is a vessel for such light. Your cells absorb, reflect, and emit photons in a delicate symphony of biology. The glow of your skin, the flash of your eyes, the sparks of your neurons, all are part of this luminous dance. You are both observer and participant, receiver and sender, in the ongoing flow of light that shapes reality. And as you drift closer to sleep's embrace, the grain of light begins to dissolve into a shimmer, a wave of possibility that stretches beyond your sight. It beckons you to follow, to explore the deeper currents of existence, where light is not merely a traveler but a creator, sculpting the very fabric of space and time, guiding the birth of stars and the formation of worlds. You do not rush, you do not chase, you float gently on the current, trusting the slow unfolding of the cosmos to reveal its secrets in time. And just as the grain of light fades into the infinite, a new question glimmers at the edge of your mind. What happens when light itself is born from silence? When the universe sings its first song in the dark? You sigh softly, the question lingering like a soft breeze. Your breath deepens, your muscles relax, and your mind begins to weave the next thread in this cosmic story. The universe waits, patient and vast, inviting you to continue the journey through its endless mysteries. The question lingers softly in the quiet space behind your closed eyes, like the last note of a song fading into silence. What happens when light itself is born from the dark? When the universe, once wrapped in shadows, decides to sing its first song? You drift deeper into that mystery, feeling yourself carried back, not through time as you know it, but through the very fabric that holds time in place. A moment before moments, a breath before breath, a silence so profound it seems to hold the weight of everything yet to come. And then, light, the first light, not a blaze or a flare, but a gentle awakening, a ripple through the void. It is the whisper of creation itself, the soft pulse that breaks the stillness and begins the dance of becoming. This light is different from the photons you know. It carries the memory of beginnings, the imprint of possibility. It does not just illuminate, it shapes, it stirs, it beckons the universe into existence. Imagine that light as a seed planted in the fertile soil of nothingness. From it, the cosmos will grow. Stars will ignite, galaxies will spiral, life will awaken. But in this nascent moment, light and space and time are not yet separate. They are woven together, inseparable threads in the loom of creation. Light is the breath of the universe, and the universe breathes with it. You feel yourself drawn into this breath, held in the quiet rhythm of emergence. The darkness recedes, not abruptly, but like the tide pulling gently away from the shore. And with it comes the first shimmer of structure, the soft outlines of matter, the faint hum of energy. Light guides this transformation, leading waves of energy to fold into atoms, atoms into molecules, molecules into the building blocks of stars and planets. In this moment, the universe is alive with potential. Every photon carries the promise of everything that will ever be. You are part of that promise, born from the first light, connected to it by threads that stretch across time and space. The light in your eyes, the warmth on your skin, the very pulse of your heartbeat, all echo the original song. As you rest within this ancient harmony, your breath slows, matching the gentle cadence of creation. Your body feels both infinite and intimate, a microcosm of the vast unfolding cosmos. You're the universe observing itself, the light dancing through the darkness, the silent song becoming a symphony. And just as the first light fades into the vast tapestry of stars and galaxies, a new question arises, a soft invitation to explore further. How does light carry the story of the universe? How do its waves encode the memory of all that has been and all that might be? You do not answer now. Instead, you sink deeper into sleep, cradled by the light's eternal song, ready to follow its path wherever it may lead. You drift now in the gentle afterglow of the first light, held within a vast sea of waves, ripples that carry stories not written in ink but in the delicate language of vibration. These are the waves of memory, etched in light's eternal dance across the universe. They ripple through space and time, whispering secrets of what was and what might yet be. You sense them all around you, unseen yet deeply known, like the faint hum beneath a melody you once heard long ago. Every photon you've ever seen, every colour that has touched your skin, carries within it a trace of history, vibrations folded carefully into its rhythm. Light is not only a traveller, it is a recorder, a messenger, a storyteller. It holds in its oscillations the signature of distant stars, the shadow of exploding galaxies, the soft pulse of your own breath. These waves are memory in motion, an archive written not on pages but on the very fabric of space-time. Imagine, as you lie still and listen with your mind's eye, that each wave is a thread woven through a grand cosmic tapestry. Each crest and trough encodes a fragment of the universe's past, a supernova's last burst, a whisper from the early cosmos, the silent song of a planet's first dawn. And these threads intersect with one another, overlapping and entwining in patterns too complex to unravel, but profoundly beautiful in their harmony. Your own eyes are gates into this great archive. When photons strike your retina, they carry their stories to your brain, where these waves are translated into images, colours and light. But this is only the surface. Beneath your waking vision lies a deeper resonance, a connection to the universal memory carried by light. Your body too responds to these waves. You absorb energy, warmth, rhythm. Your cells hum softly with the pulse of ancient light, each heartbeat syncing in subtle ways with the universe's vast chorus. And just as the waves of memory ripple across the cosmos, they ripple within you. Your thoughts are waves, your dreams are waves, your very consciousness is a current flowing through this eternal ocean. You're both observer and participant, keeper and recorder, in the endless story of light and time. As you surrender further to sleep's embrace, you feel yourself merging with these waves. Boundaries dissolve, you become part of the endless flow, a shimmer in the cosmic tide, a ripple in the universal memory. Here, time loses its linear grip. Past, present, and future weave together in a seamless dance, carried forward by the waves that never cease. And as the waves carry you deeper, a new whisper stirs at the edge of your dreaming mind. What if memory itself is light? What if the stories we hold, the moments we cherish, are waves traveling through us, connecting all things? You do not answer. You only drift, cradled by the timeless waves of memory, ready to follow their path into the next chapter of this luminous journey. You drift gently within the endless ocean of waves, the memory of light folding softly into the fabric of your dream. From this infinite sea, a new rhythm begins to emerge, steady and profound, the pulse of stars. Not just light shining from afar, but a heartbeat echoing across the cosmos, steady and sure as old as time itself. This pulse reaches you now, carried on waves both visible and unseen, and you feel it in the quiet spaces beneath your breath, in the soft rise and fall of your chest. Stars are not just glowing spheres of gas, they are living metronomes of the universe, pulsing with energy that cycles through endless rhythms. Deep inside their blazing cores, nuclear fusion fuses atoms, releasing torrents of light and heat that ripple outward, creating vibrations that shape galaxies and worlds. These pulses are more than energy. They are messages, ancient and unchanging, flowing through space like a river of light. You imagine the sound of these pulses, not in your ears, but in the vibration of your being, a slow and steady thrum that connects you to distant suns. Some stars pulse slowly, others with rapid beats, each with a unique signature. The Cepheid variables, for example, swell and shrink rhythmically, their brightness rising and falling like the breath of a sleeping giant. Astronomers use their pulses to measure cosmic distances, and you realize that you too are connected to this cosmic rhythm, your heartbeat a reflection of the star's own steady tempo. As you lie still, your mind tracing these pulses, you begin to sense how intimately these rhythms intertwine with life itself. The cycles of day and night, the changing seasons, the beat of your heart, all are echoes of the star's slow, enduring pulse. The light that travels from their cores carries this rhythm across the void, reaching you as a gentle reminder that you, like the stars, are part of a vast, connected dance. You feel your own pulse synchronize softly with this celestial rhythm, a quiet harmony flowing between your body and the cosmos. Your breath deepens, and with each exhale you imagine your cells glowing faintly, each one a tiny star pulsing with life, each one a beacon of the universe's endless song. You are both listener and participant in this cosmic symphony, held by the gentle cadence of the star's eternal heartbeat. And as sleep carries you deeper into this timeless rhythm, a new question arises quietly within your mind. a subtle invitation to explore further. What mysteries do these pulses hold? What stories do the stars tell through their light? And how do these stories shape the destiny of everything that listens? You do not seek the answers now. Instead, you surrender to the pulse, allowing its slow, steady beat to guide you gently forward, deeper into the night and deeper into the universe's luminous embrace. The steady pulse of stars fades gently into a broader soundscape, a cosmic symphony that stretches across the vastness of space and time. You find yourself immersed in this grand orchestra, where every note is an echo travelling through the void, every vibration a story told across eons. This symphony is not played on instruments you know, but on the very fabric of reality itself, the waves of energy and matter entwined in an endless dance. Each star, each planet, each swirling galaxy contributes its voice, creating harmonies that resonate across the universe. The collisions of black holes send ripples through space-time, gravitational waves, like deep bass notes rolling through a cathedral. Pulsars spin, their beams sweeping rhythmically like cosmic lighthouses, their precise beats adding a steady tempo to the celestial melody. Nebulae glow softly, their gases vibrating in gentle harmonics, colouring the symphony with luminous hues. You imagine yourself as a quiet listener, floating among these sounds, your consciousness attuned not just to the physical waves but to the deeper patterns they create. The universe is alive with resonance, each event a chord in the unfolding composition. You realize that everything you've felt, seen and dreamed is part of this greater music, a single thread woven into a vast, vibrant tapestry of sound and light. Within this symphony, echoes from the dawn of time still linger. The cosmic microwave background hums faintly, the afterglow of the Big Bang, a soft, omnipresent drone that underpins the entire composition. It is the universe's oldest song, carrying within it the memory of the moment creation's first note was struck. This primordial sound vibrates through space, subtle and constant, reminding you that all things began in a shared breath, a shared rhythm. As you float deeper into this music, you sense how intimately it connects with your own heartbeat and breath. You feel your pulse align with the rhythm of the stars, your breath flowing in time with the cosmic waves. You're not separate from this grand symphony, but an integral part of it, a voice, a note, an echo within the universal song. And as sleep's gentle tide carries you further into this luminous soundscape, a new question stirs softly in your mind. What happens when your own echoes return, travelling through the cosmos? What traces do you leave in this endless symphony, and how might they ripple forward through time and space? You do not answer, letting the question drift like a melody unfinished, guiding you toward the next movement in the universe's eternal music. You rest now, drifting deeper into the vastness of the cosmic symphony, your senses attuned to the faintest whispers, the most delicate harmonies. Among all the celestial melodies, there is one that sings the softest, yet carries the greatest weight, the silent music of light. This music does not clamour or blaze. It hums quietly in the spaces between stars, in the gentle glow of dawn, in the unseen waves that ripple through every atom of your being. It is a song of presence and passage, of memory carried in every photon's journey, a subtle pulse that binds all things in the universe's unfolding story. Light, though silent to the ear, carries a resonance that your mind can feel, a vibration that bridges time and space, past and future, observer and observed. It is the messenger and the message, the wave and the particle, the breath that animates the void. You sense its journey through your body, from the warmth of your skin to the flicker of thoughts behind your closed eyelids. The silent music of light is not just around you, it moves within you, a constant rhythm that pulses alongside your heartbeat. You imagine tracing this music back through the ages to the first flickers of photons escaping the cosmic dawn. Those first light waves travelled across a universe still young and unfolding, carrying the seeds of galaxies, stars and worlds yet to be born. Each wave is a note in the eternal score, a fragment of a story written in the language of energy and time. This music has witnessed everything. The birth of atoms, the dance of planets, the quiet growth of life. It holds the universe's secrets not in words but in the ebb and flow of its silent melody. And as you lie in this profound stillness, you feel your own life as part of that melody. Your thoughts, emotions, memories, they are notes that echo in the symphony of light. Every smile you have given, every tear you have shed, ripples outward in waves unseen, joining the cosmic music. You're both a listener and a composer in this grand composition, your existence woven into the light's endless dance. Your breath slows further, matching the gentle cadence of this universal song. You feel the boundaries between yourself and the cosmos soften, becoming fluid and permeable. In this moment, you are neither separate nor apart. You're a shimmering part of the light itself, a silent note in the music that spans eternity. And just before sleep carries you fully away, a final thought lingers softly at the edge of your mind. The silent music of light is never-ending, always unfolding, and forever inviting you to listen, to dream, and to become part of its eternal harmony. Now your breath is steady, your body at peace, your mind cradled by the gentle pulse of light's quiet song. You drift, embraced by the universe's softest music, ready to rest in the calm infinity of the night. Good night.